Let me read you a text message I got last night. She said, what are you doing? I just wrote back, I got commissioned to finish Schubert's Unfinished Symphony with the help of an AI neural network running on a smartphone, and I fly to London for the premiere on Tuesday. And she wrote back, that is the coolest sentence I've ever read.
At Huawei, we are always searching how we can bring technologies to make the world a better place for people. We strongly believe combine the artificial intelligence and the human expertise, we can help to push the boundaries of what is human possible.
We decided to teach our smartphone to complete Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. First, we created an AI learning model on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. We use that to analyze the existing first and second movements of Schubert's symphony. The AI then created the melody for the third and fourth movements. We worked with Emmy Award-winning composer Lucas Cantor, whose role was to draw out the good ideas from the AI and fill in the gaps where necessary.
The intersection of music and technology has given us modern music, from the electric guitar up until the digital audio workstation. I think AI can only be helpful. It's like having a collaborator sitting right next to you who never gets tired, who never runs out of ideas, who never has an attitude of any kind. It just is there to work and it's there to help.
It's taken 6 months to get to this point, and the results are incredible.
I'm collaborating with a non-human intelligence that is channeling the intelligence of a dead human. And that's profound.
If I...
Hey everybody, and welcome to Buzz Talk Live. My guest tonight, Lucas Cantor, is a multi-instrumentalist, a music composer, producer, conductor, and public speaker. He's a two-time Emmy Award winner, composing music for the 2008 and 12 Olympic Games in London and Beijing for NBC. Now, Lucas has written music for DreamWorks and is currently working in the film industry, producing soundtracks for various production companies. But in 2013, he produced music for the soundtrack for the wildly popular film The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. But because of his love for music and technology, Lucas was asked to give a TED Talk of the subject of artificial intelligence. He finds himself on the cutting edge of how the music industry can adapt to artificial intelligence in today's world of music production. So sit back, please chat, and welcome Lucas Cantor to Buzz Talk Live. How you doing, Lucas?
Great. Thanks for having me.
How are you, buddy? Thanks for being on the show tonight. It looks like you're in your studio there. Where are we tonight, anyway?
So I'm in Silver Lake. I actually, at the moment, have two studios. My main studio is in my house, but I need to get out sometimes because I have two children under 2. And right now it's 5:30 here, and this is screamy time at home.
Oh, boy.
So I knew I was going to be live with you, so I wanted to make sure I was somewhere quiet. So I'm at my studio in Silver Lake right now.
So you're quarantined.
Yeah. Yep. So I just want to say that watching that video that you just played makes me really nostalgic for the time when I was able to get haircuts. But in Los Angeles, all the hair cutting places are closed.
Yeah, what's going on out there? I mean, nobody's getting haircuts.
There's a pandemic. I don't know if you guys have heard. But,
yeah, no, we're fully aware here in New York about the pandemic. We're reminded every day. But look, this is why we do these things now, and having you on the show, and you're such an accomplished person, and your background is off the charts, and what you've done with the Olympics and progressing into this AI, artificial intelligence, and we're going to get into that. But I wanted to kind of start at the beginning, only because folks out there, maybe don't know you, and you're so well versed in all the instruments. I mean, do you play like every instrument?
No, there are probably thousands of instruments that I do not play, but I play about 25 instruments pretty fluently. And it's funny. Like, I mean, a lot of them are different kinds of guitars, so that translates pretty easily. And then mandolin and banjo are different tunings, but the techniques are largely the same. So just a little bit of practice, a little bit of dedication.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
And a big budget to buy instruments, and a wife who supports you buying instruments.
Well, you kind of have to have that. It's a yin and the yang, and you got to have that. But how did this all start with you? Did you just pick up and you fell in love, or how did that all happen with the learning all these instruments?
Actually, it was the opposite. I fell in love and then I picked up an instrument, and I'll tell you what I mean. So when I was in middle school, there was this girl who I really liked, and I thought there was also a guitar sort of in our student center, and I thought that if I could learn how to play a song on guitar, maybe I would impress her and she would pay attention to me, and maybe I could take her out on a date. And so I picked up this guitar and started playing that Metallica song that's like all open strings, and she didn't really care. She wasn't impressed at all, but I really was interested in the guitar, so I stuck with it. She and I never was a love connection for us, but I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, this is one thing leads to another, and love leads to instruments. What can I tell you? But the love of music
actually happened again in my life, because I've bought more instruments since I've been married than before. Because my wife, her name's Lucas Cantor. She's also a composer. I am, in fact, the second best composer in my house. She has done a lot of great stuff. She's done a Marvel show. She's currently working on a lot of new projects that will be coming out in the coming years. Coming months. And she really encouraged me when we started dating. She said, you're really good at playing these instruments, and you have a couple. We should get some more, and then you will have more. And that's Amazing. When I knew I had made the right choice marrying her, but that really drove it home.
Well, but I mean, how did this start as far as like your taste in music? Because you didn't start classical, right? I mean, you like you mentioned rock and roll, but did you have jazz? I mean, what was your background usually?
Well, my mom loves classical music, and apparently I used to listen to Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik going to bed every night. And my sister used to listen to Beethoven, and we're both musicians now, and we have different approaches to music. And you might be able to trace it back to that subtle difference.
Wow.
Because, because I'm sort of like melodic and, devil may care. And my sister is very meticulous and very specific. And it's interesting that's what we grew up listening to.
Now I'm wondering, you hear these things about, you have little ones about, playing Mozart and when the baby's in the womb. Did your mother do that to you?
I don't know what happened before I was born, but I would imagine she likes to listen to music. I would imagine that she was listening to some.
There you go.
Yeah, it was when I was young. I remember at a very young age, really knowing Eine kleine Nachtmusik well and feeling like I knew the inside parts and could sort of sing it, even though I didn't know even how it was played. I didn't know anything about it. But my first real music study was I was really into jam bands, and then I ended up going to college for jazz, because that was the closest thing I could find to getting a degree in jam band guitar. So I learned how to play jazz, and jazz is a system of, it's a type of music, but it's also a system of study and a way to understand music. It's a type of pedagogy. And so I really...
But there's a lot of freelancing in jazz there, Lucas. I mean, you could freelance a little bit. I mean, I don't play. I'm not a player. But, I'm a good listener. I'm not a good player. But, yeah, I mean, you can freelance in jazz. I mean, that's the jazzy way of producing that kind of music, isn't it?
That's the way that it looks, and maybe the way that it sounds from the audience. But up on the stage, it's pretty... I'm not going to say it's regimented, but we know what we're doing. So there's like it's like when you look at a skyscraper, you don't see the ironwork, you don't see the elevators, you don't see all the nitty gritty. And so when you're playing jazz, we know where all that stuff is. So we know how to walk around and navigate it. And but when you're listening to it, it sounds like we're very free. So
you got me there. Okay. I'll stick in the audience. I'll stick in the audience.
Well, you're welcome to come jam anytime, but jazz musicians are notoriously unkind to first-time jammers usually.
Yeah,
especially in New York. In LA, they're a little bit nicer, honestly.
Now, where did you spend your youth? Were you a resident of LA, California, or did you move out there? Where did you? Where did this all start?
When I was born, I was a Red Sox fan, and when I was 9, I turned into a Yankees fan, and I didn't become a Dodgers fan until I was about 30. So,
so you're from the East Coast then?
I'm from the East Coast. Yeah, I was born in Boston. I moved to New York when I was 9. And
oh wow!
I like to say that my father's a Red Sox fan, my mother's a Yankees fan, and my wife is a Dodgers fan.
Boy.
Which makes me a Dodgers fan. But I've
a lot of fighting in that house. A lot of fighting.
Yeah, well, no, there's no fighting because we're all Dodger fans. So, but yeah, if the Dodgers ever play the Yankees in the World Series, I'm gonna have to leave town. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I consider myself a New Yorker, but I've been in Los Angeles for 10 years now. So.
Oh wow.
So this is home.
That's great. I mean, and you're out there. You're doing your thing, right? You're producing music. You're working for various companies, production companies, theatrical. I mean, some of the stuff that you've produced, and we're going to get into it and show you off tonight here. And your work, but how did that all come to be? I mean, as far as like you just jumping into a studio out in LA, did you find love for that type of producing of music? How was it introduced to you?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean, but let me try to.
Well, what I mean by is a studio engineer, or a person of making music for films and soundtracks and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, great. You're a musician and you're very talented, but then now you're coming into the studio and you're actually composing and producing. I guess that's what I'm asking is you're
right.
Composing of film for film production or your soundtracks.
Yeah, it just seemed like the way that music gets to the public for the most part is through recording. And I think every serious musician, even if they're mostly known as a recording artist or a performer, starts to develop a pretty intimate and deep relationship with production because it's how your music is delivered. And I think the same is probably true in television, that anyone who's on camera has a pretty good idea of what goes into the show around them because they've probably done many of the jobs before.
Right.
I know when I was working in sports, the common joke, I found it funny, but everybody I asked in sports, from Dick Ebersol to any of the announcers to anyone who worked in sports, the executive producers, everybody starts as a runner. So it doesn't matter who you are. The first job you have is you stand on the set and get people coffee and you work your way up.
Right.
By the time, so you could look at Bob Costas and think that he doesn't know a lot about production because that's not his job to deal with physical production, but he's done it and he knows about it. And that's how I viewed it. Once I got sort of inside that system and saw, all of these guys and girls know everything about all this stuff. And so that's how I should be with my craft, is that, I'm not necessarily going to be a recording engineer, but when I'm in a room with a recording engineer, I know more or less what he's doing. He's just doing it better with more experience than I would do it. But I have an idea of what he's doing, so I know what is reasonable to ask people.
Working for,
I know what's possible on a trombone.
Right. And I was going to say, working for like a major production house or even a major picture company like Warner Brothers, it's I was blown away because I was privy to going to one of the studios that they actually produce the music for a specific scene for the film. And I was just blown away with all the technology that I was witnessing. VU meters the size of big screens underneath the main screen, and then you have the audio engineers in the back of the rake seating in the back, and the board. There must have been about 3 or 4 engineers on that board, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy stuff. It was like a VIP tour. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm technical. I'm kind of in the industry on the video end of the world, but I know plenty of audio engineers, believe me. But I do have chats that come in on the show, and I'll put one up. Where did you go to music school? There you go. I mean,
Oh, great. I went to SUNY Purchase, just north of New York City. There, I studied jazz performance. I have a degree in jazz performance on the guitar, which is, I mean, I defy you to find a more useless degree than that, but that's the one I have.
No comment.
I was required to read one book in college.
Really?
4 years of college, I was assigned one book.
Oh my God.
I read other books. I love to read, and I read many other books, but I could have gotten through college only reading, I think it was The History of Jazz. No, 2 books, The History of Jazz, and I had to read Don Quixote, which I had read, but I read it again. It's a good book.
And you worked, now you were in the music department for NBC, in the sports, I guess, for sports, and that's how you got your Emmys for the Olympics?
Yep, I got my Emmys as an associate producer for the Olympics. I worked in the music department. I helped them with music services, and I think it's important to point out that had I not been working on the Olympics, the show still would have gotten on the air. There still would have been, it would have been okay without me, but I like to think that everybody's part of the team. But it was an amazing experience to see a production like that. I mean, they set up a city in a convention center and several TV studios, and it's really an unparalleled production. I mean, I don't think there's anything like it in the world.
Yeah, I know. They take over the city itself, and the pre-production on that is amazing onto itself, because it's months, if not a year or so.
Years.
Yeah, it's years.
From summer to winter. So from Summer Olympics to Winter Olympics is only about 18 months. And it's the other way because of how they line up. And so after the Summer Olympics, the people who are working on the next Winter Olympics go to the city, sometimes 6 weeks after closing ceremonies. Yeah, they go to the next city because they set up a field shop, they set up a whole city. And I heard, I don't know how to verify this, but when I was in Athens, someone told me that that NBC had more drivers than the second biggest network had people total.
Really?
Yeah, that we had more drivers in the motor pool just moving our crew around.
That's crazy. You get involved with all these things. Now, I don't know anybody who has given a TED Talk. You're my first TED Talk guest. And how did you get involved in something like that?
Well, there's a TEDx talk. I should be clear that it's a
TEDx talk,
TED event. But like everything in show business, I knew someone who knew someone, and I had done something interesting, and they, it fit into their theme, and they made me audition. I had to go there and audition, but I had a good idea, I think, and they liked it, and I did it. It was really fun. And it was a really intense. I mean, there were, I want to say 9 speakers, and each one had a great talk. And it was a tough day because it was in October of this year. So we were doing these talks to an empty room, essentially. And so I was watching all of the talks beforehand, and each one was so good that I was just like, I don't know if I can follow this person. I don't know if I can follow this person. But, we got through it. I think we all felt like that, so it really propelled the event forward. It was really
and the
great.
Subject matter. I mean, complex artificial intelligence technology, and you were speaking. It was like a 10 minute talk or so that you spoke to this, and how and this leads up to what you did with Huawei, right? With the artificial intelligence in music creation of the symphony of Schubert, right? Was it the unfinished symphony of Schubert?
Yep, Schubert's 8. So it was actually the other way around. I did the symphony, the little rollout that you did at the beginning. That was the sort of press for that project. And
so the TED Talk came later.
The TED Talk was afterwards, yeah. So that really got me thinking about artificial intelligence and the relationship between technology and creativity, and all that interesting stuff. And so that's what I've been thinking about and working on really since that project, but working on that project is what really got my mind into that space.
Yeah, I mean, because it's fascinating stuff that how, AI can and the music industry, is it somewhat of a marriage of the two? I mean, I know that with music, when you create music, it's all about feeling and emotion, and that's what the audience hears in the music. But with the artificial intelligence, how is the use of this technology helping to like finish a symphony, for goodness sakes? I mean, you got there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on there. I'm really a user of artificial intelligence and not a programmer. So it is as much of a black box to me as my laptop is.
Oh, okay.
I click a link, I hit Zoom, and here we are. I'm sure there's a lot that goes into us being able to do this, but I'm unaware of it.
What I'm saying though, Lucas, is that you're a user. I'm a user for the technology as well, not artificial technology, but using this in your craft of music. Were you a little gun shy of using this or were you an early adapter of it?
No, I mean, I use technology in my music every day. That's how I make music. I can't, I don't even really perform. I record music and put it on scores or TV shows or pop songs,
right,
and then I send it via the internet to clients who I've never met. So it was not a leap for me at all. It was just another piece of technology to use to help make music with.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And every, it seems because it has the name artificial intelligence, which is kind of a very evocative name for a piece of technology, it seems like it's scary, and it seems like it's maybe something that it isn't. It's another tool. It's a tool in the toolbox, just like every other tool that I use, and every significant game-changing tool that I use, from the digital audio workstation to the way that music is distributed, was all supposed to be the end of music when it came out, and now it's just part of what we do every day.
It's a toolbox. It's part of the process, and but utilizing that with technology that the company. How did you get involved with Huawei? Was that a? You're smiling.
Well, I'm going to give you the same answer. Just like everything in show business, it was a friend of a friend. I knew.
Wow, you must know a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big part of the business, right? Is just networking and making sure that
absolutely
you're around people who are doing interesting things, and sometimes they ask you to help them do the interesting things.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No,
it's great that it was the process difficult because of the given situation, or was it a challenge for you to do this? I mean, how?
I think anybody who's written a symphony would say that it was a challenge, and I'm not sure which situation you mean.
Well, having an unfinished piece of the symphony, and then you have to use this technology. I mean,
it was extremely intimidating because I knew that at the concert, what was going to happen at the concert was two movements of Schubert, who is a genius, whose music is already immortal, and then it was going to be two movements of something that I was involved in, and that also I didn't have full control over it because I was collaborating with a computer. I was collaborating with a machine.
Right.
And so, it was, I think I said this at the concert in the pre-concert talk, that it felt a little bit like I was like a young up-and-coming stand-up comedian, and they had George Carlin open for me or something like that. So that is really how it felt, because I was like, well, I know this first half of the show is really good, so I better make my second half of the show at least okay.
Right.
And, I think my music is possessed of appropriate depth and bombast to at least make an interesting evening.
We have another chat here. When did you? I guess Purchase fan here. When did you start composing at Purchase? If so, who was your composition professor?
Great question. I started composing. I think I've always kind of been a composer. I mean, jazz musicians are improvisers, and improvisation is just real-time composition. So for me, the process of composing is kind of a slow version of what I was trained to do as a jazz musician. And I did not study composition at Purchase at all, but I did hang out with a guy named Darry John Mizell quite a bit, and he was a composition teacher there, and super cool. And he just sort of let me hang out. Sometimes I would audit his classes, and he would talk to me about composition. I still remember him and some of the lessons that he taught me. But I really learned composition the hard way by just throwing myself into it, trying to make stuff and get it on the air and get it sold. And I worked really hard, but I also got really, really lucky several times.
You miss the East Coast? You miss
what's that?
Do you miss the East Coast?
Yeah, not right now. I mean, yeah, but yes, in general, I do. Yeah. Yeah, around middle of January, February, I don't miss it so much.
No, neither do I. And I'm living here. Let's take a look at the after the unfinished piece and when the finished piece now of the symphony. That's great, man.
Wow,
Bravo.
Thank you for showing that. Thanks.
Yeah.
That was the finale. Every time I hear that, I wish I had told the timpani player to use harder mallets. So I really wanted those timpanis to cut through.
Gotta hear it. You gotta hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
no,
they did a
that's
great
wonderful.
Job. That was the premiere. That was the world premiere, and that was the finale of the world premiere. So
amazing stuff, man. Well, how big was the staff that you had as far as working on this thing? Was it
to the orchestra, you mean, or the people on my team?
Well, no, the people behind the scenes trying to. You were the maestro, right? As far as not the maestro, but the composer of trying to get AI, the technology and the music, and kind of fitting it all together. But then there was, I guess, engineers there as well, and adapting.
Oh yeah, there was a whole. So I mean, any concert like that is, as you know, is quite a production, and once I had written the music and delivered the score and had a conversation with the conductor and been to a rehearsal and given my notes and made whatever changes needed to be made, I was not really involved in the physical production at all because they had me doing press all day. So
okay.
it was a concert, so like it was the same that goes into any concert. It was just a lot of people who were really talented, working really hard, doing a fantastic job. And it's for me, as someone who has done productions on every conceivable level, from free New York City black box theater to big shows like that to the Olympics, it's so great to walk into a place and see that everything's taken care of, because I sort of know what's going on. And I remember walking into that concert hall and saying, I don't need to, everything is handled. I just need to chill out and wait for the show to happen.
That's beautiful.
So,
yeah.
It's a great feeling.
And then now you're involved with films and productions and whatnot, and doing soundtracks. I think your latest one is Togo. Is it with William Dafoe?
Yeah, I did additional music on that, which is a fancy way of saying that I played some guitars and I did a few cues. The composer on that is Mark Isham, who is the guy that my wife works for actually. So she wrote music on that too, and they wanted some bluegrass sounding things in a few spots. And Mark is a really versatile and brilliant composer, and his forte is jazz. And he was able, he just wanted me to play the mandolin and play the banjo and sort of bluegrassify some of the parts of it that needed to be bluegrass. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And Disney hired a great violinist fiddle player by the name of Gabe Witcher, who is in the band called the Punch Brothers, and he played the fiddle parts on these bluegrass tracks.
Oh, wow.
They just came out great. I mean, I guess I worked on the movie. I feel like I had a very small part in doing that, but the parts that I did, I'm very, very proud of.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of work, a lot of work in putting music together for a film and whatnot. But, putting together this show, just on your bio and your records and your pictures, and you have such an extensive guitar collection, from little guys to big guys. And I just want to put it up here. I mean, banjos and it's wonderful that you can just. I wish I can do that, man. I just pick it up and just make some sound out of it, man.
You can.
No, I can't. I can't play.
So you can. They say the Chinese proverb is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. So you can start practicing right now, and you'll get pretty good pretty fast.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna
do it.
I have a guitar in the house. I'm gonna take you up on that.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Hey, so the banjo. Talk to me about the banjo. That's. I mean, I don't know too much about it. You hear it, but not too much. Is there different styles of banjos? Like, I don't know.
How much time do you have?
Yeah, you're laughing at me. Don't laugh at me. No, but I mean, look at that thing. I love that thing.
I can talk about banjos for hours. So, I have 5 banjos. And
wow.
I have 2 bluegrass banjos, which are the 5-string Steve Martin banjos. I have a plectrum banjo, which is tuned C, G, B, D, and it's usually used in 1920s dance hall music. I have a tenor banjo, which is used in Irish music and also in jazz. And then I have a tenor banjo, which I tune Chicago style, which is just a fancy way of saying I tune it like a guitar so I can play my guitar voicings on it. And that is what a lot of jazz banjo players do, including the great Johnny St. Cyr, who is Louis Armstrong's banjo player, among many others.
No, it's
was
just...
that 5 banjos? I also have a banjo mandolin. So
a banjo mandolin?
Yeah. The banjo was the coolest thing in the 1920s. It's since fallen out of popularity, and people don't even really know about 4-string banjos or plectrum banjos. That's a tenor. That's a Vega tenor. That one's from 1928. And I don't think I.
But I also see some that have like a clear, like the face of it is clear. That I don't know. What's the difference?
That's just cosmetic.
It's just cosmetic.
One of the banjos that I have that I play on my Instagram.
What's that one? That one's cool.
That's a resonator guitar. So that's a guitar. That's a 6-string guitar. It's just a guitar made of metal.
Oh, okay.
So it has a different sound. And that guitar, actually, I gave to my niece, that Stratocaster. I have a different Strat. She has that one.
Yeah, cool.
But the banjo that I play on my Instagram a lot has a clear head, which is really more of a cosmetic choice. But the reason that I made that choice is because my friend John Pratt made a resonator, made the back of the banjo for me out of one solid piece of wood from a felled tree in his backyard. And he spun it. And I've never seen another one-piece banjo resonator, and my luthier told me that it couldn't be done. But my friend John did it. So I put a clear head on that because I want to be able to see it. I want to really appreciate it.
That's so cool.
It's my favorite instrument. It's a beautiful piece of,
that's so cool.
Amazing.
And I guess banjo would be your favorite to pick up and play and to make yourself smile.
I've been into banjo in the last couple of days, but mandolin was really my favorite thing for a few years. Guitar is my home instrument, I would say. Right. And Yeah, it really depends on. I don't really have a favorite. I like to play what the situation demands. You know.
Other things that I saw on your Instagram were these little vignettes you put together, and they're pretty cool. I'm going to start with one here. I labeled it Stormtroopers because what did you just like pick up? Was it a mandolin that you were playing there?
Yeah.
And what did you just go outside and wander around in the wilderness and start playing?
Well, so you can see you're cycling through these pictures. When you see the ones that are in the desert, that's actually my backyard. So we live right up against a park called Stony Point Park in Los Angeles, and it's a pretty famous shooting location for westerns. You know, and they've been shooting there for over 100 years, and there's rocks near my house where Buster Keaton jumped off of and, you know, ran around, and it's a pretty amazing place. But so because it's so scenic and so dramatic, a lot of people just come and shoot random things there. That's Stony Point Park. That's right outside our house.
Stony Point. Oh,
and,
nice.
So sometimes from our porch, I can see people doing things, and so I will sometimes go out there and just start talking to them. And the stormtroopers were one. I literally just saw them walking past my back porch and thought I should go talk to those guys.
Was it Halloween? Was it like
no?
Just...
They just come do it. You know, it's a place where, I mean, you can see this is a good picture of the area, but you can it's just a very scenic area, and so people come out and shoot like little promo videos and stuff out there because it just looks cool and otherworldly and westernish.
All right, let's take a look at Stormtroopers. That's hysterical. That's hysterical. No. I got plenty more. But as far as like, I don't know, maybe these people just dressed up as stormtroopers, and obviously you made a gag out of it, and it wasn't just like you saw them and you just made the riff of Star Wars. I mean.
Yeah, no, there were cosplayers, you know. So this is like they like dressing up and doing this, and because this is Los Angeles, I mean, those were like screen-worn stormtrooper outfits. And
yeah, I know.
Actual stormtroopers in Mandalorian or something.
They were beat up there.
And
yeah,
so
I know.
Out there shooting a promo for something, and I just walked up to them and said, "Hey, can I get a shot with you?" And they're actors. We're all in showbiz, so they were like, "No, let's do a thing." And they, we all decided we just sort of came up with it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And for people who don't know those pieces of music, I started by playing like a bluegrass standard. And then they walked up and I started, they sort of forced me to play the Imperial March. That was
yes.
That's the idea.
But. And getting back to some of these vignettes how did you come up with this idea? Because I don't know, the editing that's involved in this too. I mean, timing and synchronization of the pieces and putting and making sense out of it and timing.
Well, the one that you just showed obviously doesn't have any of that.
No.
It's just one take. But the ones where I play all 4 instruments or 5 instruments are. I just started. I don't know. A couple friends of mine do similar things. There's a woman that I know in London who's a brilliant cellist named Samara Ginsberg, who is on Instagram and YouTube, and she does these TV show theme songs where she'll do like 8 cello parts and. She does a really great job. So I wanted to do sort of my smaller version of that. And I started with, I think I started with the Cantina Band song from Star Wars. Obviously I have a Star Wars thing. And I just, I enjoyed it. People seem to like it. So I just kept making more of them, and I've got more coming. So. Yeah,
it's a great idea, and keep it coming. I have Spider-Man, and I have Spider-Man that you do.
That was a request from my friend Matt Capel, who is a musician and also works at NBC. And he just texted me and said, "You should do Spider-Man." So I did.
There you go. Let's check it out. Was that a coffee pot that you were banging on there?
Yeah, I'm actually the world's preeminent coffee pot soloist. So
That's
jazz coffee pot is a specialty of mine, and yeah, that came about because I needed a percussion instrument, and I had finished my coffee, and so I don't use that for coffee anymore because I really love the way it sounds.
You know,
So
they got
my
spackle
percussion
buckets
box now.
too. They got spackle buckets too. You could sit on the spackle bucket.
Yeah, well, this is a danger in my house is that if I start playing on something and I like the way it sounds, it then becomes an instrument, and we can no longer use it for what it was used for originally. So,
oh boy,
there's a couple of sort of random household items in my percussion box that I just, I like the sound of them.
Is your talent rubbing off on your children? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they
and
have
I mean,
talent,
I should bring in your wife too, because your wife is talented. Well, and what you said that she's more talented than you.
She's way more talented than me. I had the advantage of a lot of private lessons and living in a sort of cosmopolitan city where I had access to all these great musicians. And she's from the Midwest, and she she's managed to get very far and develop a lot of interesting and unique skills. And she's a first-rate film composer, and
wow.
And yeah, she's really great. But I think that when she sat down at the piano for the first time, she was probably way better at it than when I sat down at the guitar for the first time. So, and yeah, some of that is rubbing off on them. My son Jude is starting to play the drums and starting to understand music. He loves a orchestra book that we got him that plays sounds of the orchestra. And yesterday we actually asked him what his favorite instrument was, and he said trombone. And I don't think we've ever talked about the trombone. So we might have a jazz big band.
Wait a minute, how old is Jude?
He's going to be 2 in March, so he's 22 months.
And he's saying trombone?
Oh, he can full on talk. I mean, we're the only ones who understand him. But,
right, of course.
He can speak in sentences, and he's got some ideas of his own.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Dude.
Start him young. That's what I always say.
Yeah, well, little choice because we're all at home now, so it's been a blessing. And this pandemic has been obviously horrible for many, many reasons, but the one blessing that it has conferred on me is that I've been able to stay at home with my very young children, which I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. And
yes, and that it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. This unfortunately, this happened, and our livelihoods are decimated, but yet we get closer to our families, and sometimes that's a blessing and a curse too. But I won't go there. But yeah, no, I got some more. So the next one up I got here is Night in Tunisia.
Night in Tunisia. It's important to note that is spelled with a K. Knight in Tunisia.
Knight in Tunisia.
Which for reasons that will be obvious.
Okay, let's take a look at Knight in Tunisia. I gotta ask. So, all right, there's a couple of things going on there in that video. Number one,
there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on. Number one, was there central casting nearby that you just kind of went to the wardrobe department? No,
So,
but
you're not going to believe this. It's actually related to the stormtroopers. So, in addition to dressing as stormtroopers, those same guys who I had met months earlier also do medieval cosplay, and they were shooting a promo for that sword, and I offered them to stage in my garage their shoot. And so while they were out shooting, I just rifled through their costumes.
Oh no, you didn't.
I found that,
oh no, you
like,
didn't.
Friar Hood, and I found a sword, and I found those gauntlets, and I just recorded a video real quick and just put it all back. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So,
yeah, I mean, because you know, you don't usually have a knight's sword laying around somewhere, you know.
No,
and,
what
and
I
these
originally
gloves,
wanted to do was
these
actually
gloves.
play a knight because they have a full armor. So I originally wanted to have the guy in my room.
Oh
and just
yeah, that
play
would
him
be
like
cool.
that. But
Yeah.
It turns out that a breastplate like really doesn't sound that good. So so I went with the gauntlets.
Kind of dulled sound on the breastplate there. Huh?
Yeah, it might be, you know, who knows? Maybe some sound better than others, but we didn't have that many options.
Yeah, I mean, you know, getting the coffee pot out with the mixture of the night stuff wouldn't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the gypsy jazz, the Chinese-made gypsy jazz guitar really, you know, that really fits with the period.
You're crazy, man. I got this one here. You went full boat with the production value of Star Trek. This is crazy. Check this out. You were giving Spock an earache there.
Yeah, he's all right. The
Uh,
Vulcan ears are much more tolerant to percussion than human ears, so I think he'll be okay.
yeah, he got good sound out of his Vulcan ears.
Yeah.
Really interesting stuff here with this vignette. These
Oh,
new
thank you.
vignettes that you did. And the idea just came, what? Just you were just kind of fooling around one day, and you just said, you know what? Let me put myself everybody up there and
Yeah,
get
I mean, hey, I love Star Trek. I have a command uniform. I got a bunch of instruments. May as well go for it. And I did that week. I did that's the theme song. That's Alexander Courage's theme to the original series, Star Trek: The Original Series.
You don't go to Comic-Con, do you? Do you go to Comic-Con?
I've been to Comic-Con a couple times. I get I get invited to Comic-Con as a you know.
Sure you do.
Actually, I should be more specific. My wife gets invited to Comic-Con, and I get to go with her. But yeah, that's why I have a Starfleet uniform, is, you know, so that I can fit in at Comic-Con. And yeah, so I did the original series, the Next Generation, and then the J.J. Abrams Star Trek theme.
That's pretty cool. I have one more, and this again has to do with space. It's called Space Hustle, but is this new? Did you just like do this?
Yeah, well, it's
recently?
new and old. So the album dropped on Tuesday, but it
Oh,
is
now,
a project
so
that
your
I've been
album
working on
is
for
out.
years.
People can find your
It's
stuff.
out.
Where
Yeah,
can people
anywhere
find
you
your
get
stuff?
music. Wherever you get music you can find it there.
Okay.
Unless you get music at like a store where you buy a physical CD, you won't find it there. But anywhere where most people get music, you can find it on Apple Music, Spotify. I think
There you
there's
go.
one called Deezer. All of them. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So if you like what you hear, and you know, he's not going to come to your house and pat on your head and all that, but
No, there's no cookie jars on this, but this album, Space Hustle, came about. I started it in 2007 when I recorded. There was this. I met a drummer named Herb Pirker in Austria, and he just is amazing and had something special. And so when he came to New York, I had him come up to my studio, and I just recorded him for hours. I just sort of turned it on and said, play a bunch of stuff, and I'm gonna figure out what to do with it later. And later turned out to be when COVID hit. So
Right.
It's an album that started 10 years ago, or more, 13 years ago, and was released on Tuesday. And it's short, but it's cool.
Yeah, let's take a look. 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Nice. Nice. Very nice. Great imagery. Just space stuff is
Yeah,
off the charts.
we had the helicopter for the day, and NASA let us fly around the launch site. So no, I'm just kidding. It's all that stuff is it's just footage that NASA has released over the years, and I thought the band's called Space Hustle. I should use some space stuff, and I just put it together. So,
yeah,
it's
that's
a bit of
really
fun.
cool, man. Yeah. I mean, I heard some of your stuff on some of the movie stuff that you've worked on. And recently, I think there was one called the Secret Circus that you worked on. Right? The Secret Circus I have
know.
here.
That might be
Spirit
someone
Riding Free. Spirit Riding Free. It's for DreamWorks.
Spirit Riding Free is Spirit Riding Free. I don't know what the Secret Circus.
Secret
is,
Circus.
But,
I don't know. It was an animated.
Well, actually, you know what, guys? It's a secret, so we can't actually talk about the Secret Circus.
Okay, so we won't talk about it. We won't even
Spirit
show
Riding Free we can talk about.
No. But the music taste and how you produce music and how you play really showed in that piece. But I won't play it because it's a secret.
It's a secret. Yeah.
It's a secret. So what do you got coming up next? You working on anything? I know that it's COVID and all that, but you can't even get a haircut. But I mean, what say you?
Yeah, but priority number one is figuring out a haircut situation. But
I'm sure you're working in your studio, right? I mean, look, you got instruments behind you. You got to be doing something.
Oh, I'm doing plenty of. Yeah, I'm doing some stuff. I'm working on a book right now. The proposal is out to the world. My agent is shopping it around, and it's going to be really great. It's about artificial intelligence and creativity, and just the relationship between technology and human creativity. So that'll answer some of the questions I tried to answer today in more detail. And
so you're saving it for the book.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on it. Also, I'm working it out. So I'm also giving a lecture at the Meta University, which is a completely digital university that exists on a persistent multiplayer game called Roblox that my friend created. So I'm doing a lecture about musical temperament on the 4th of February there, and that'll be on YouTube and stuff afterwards. And I'm also starting a podcast. So one of my loves other than music is books. And so I started the podcast called The Book Society, where I read an interesting book with an interesting guest every week. And the first episode will be out on April 24th. It's going to have, the first episode will feature my mother, author Esmeralda Santiago. She and I talk about books all the time. So we figured
Very
we might
nice.
as well make a podcast episode out of it. But a couple of other great episodes. I'm doing one with actually the conductor that we showed earlier conducting the Unfinished Symphony. He is, in addition to being a very sought after classical conductor, he is was a candidate for UK Parliament and is a great reader. And he chose Middlemarch, which is the greatest novel ever written. So we're going to talk about that one.
Wow.
And
You're busy.
on
You're
April 24th.
busy.
It's called Book Society. Yep, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. No, that's going to be awesome. So you got a full boat, man. You got a full boat.
You know, as full as it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, as full as it can get without leaving your house.
Let's see some chats here. I don't know what we got here. I'm a little late getting to the chat here, but
somebody's a Roblox fan. Hey, if you're a Roblox, I mean, I'm easy to find. DM me. I'll give you the login to. You can DM me on Instagram or on whatever. I'll DM you. You can come to the lecture.
Okay.
If you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this another secret that?
I just don't know how to explain on this show how to get into this Roblox room. So if someone wants to get in, just contact me and I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. All right.
The node is called the Rising Sea. So if you go into Roblox and you have an account, you can search the Rising Sea and you can just enter. And my thing will be on the main page.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Very, very interesting guy. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you are, and I really appreciate you stopping in tonight, Lucas. It was really a pleasure to have you to showcase your talent, and you got plenty of it. And what you've done and accomplished is crazy. And best of luck with your wife too. I mean, she's in the same business, and you guys are knocking them dead.
She doesn't need
there.
luck. She's doing.
She doesn't need
great.
luck. Well, that's what I say. You know,
Yeah.
That's the Italian in me. You know. I wish you a lot of luck. No, but seriously, best of luck with you and your family. I'm sure they're going to be, composers one day too. You know. But no, seriously, thanks again for stopping in, and
thanks for having me on, and thanks for showcasing all this stuff. It was really fantastic.
Yeah, man. Anytime, and hey, you got your lectures, you got your podcast, your book is coming out. You're on your way there, my friend. You're on your way.
Well, thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. You got it. Oh my God. He's got a lot going on, Lucas, with his lectures and his books and his podcast. So let's see. I want you to come back to me on Sunday night. Sunday we're gonna have it's gonna be a fun show. Man of 1,000 Voices. Joe Gibbs is going to be here, doing celebrity impressions. Some of your favorite cartoon voices. He's going to be here on the show. So tune back in on Sunday night for Joel Gibbs at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's all for Buzz Talk Live tonight. And as I say, good night, America.